them say, nothing's ever promised tomorrow today.
Welcome back to Mally Braid TV 2 and What's Good. So today we at part 4 of this addiction recollection series. So in part 4 we entered the sober living phase, the phase that I told you was bullshit. So I leave rehab and I get dropped off at this place called Rise Recovery in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm in a house with like 12 or 13 other recovering addicts. Everybody has to stay clean here. You get random drug tested. You get random breathalyzed at random times throughout the day, whenever you come back from work or whatever you're doing. You got to pay a fuckload of money to stay here. There's like 13 guys, and we're each paying upwards of $800 a month just to have a room that I share with 2 other guys in an open space. There's 3 twin beds. I got one guy to my right named Anthony, a recovering alcoholic. I got a guy to my left named Kodak. I got a job at a grocery market named Ingles, stocking groceries, making $15 an hour, trying to pay this shit. You had to go to 5 AA meetings or NA meetings a week. Keep in mind, I had no fucking car. And yeah, it was bullshit pretty much. As you know, most sober livings guys are trying to get away with shit. They're trying to do drugs, find ways around the drug test, fake pee. For once in my fucking life, I was doing shit the right way. And this is what threw me off about the sober living. They gave us a drug test one day, right? I peed mine to think nothing about it. They come to me and try to tell me that I tested positive for weed, when I know for a fact that I have not even smelt weed since the day I even overdosed. And this was going on 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I had passed every drug test in rehab to this point. And they're trying to say that I failed for weed. So I laughed at first, and it was being serious. So I took another one. I failed it too. So at this point, I know I did nothing wrong, so I'm blaming these motherfuckers. The head guys in the house, I'm blaming them, the house manager, saying they did something with my test. So we're about to literally fist fight. They're getting mad at me that I'm accusing them, but I'm like, bro, what the fuck's going on? So they give me an ultimatum to go back to rehab or get the fuck out of the house by the next morning at 8 a.m., which is illegal in North Carolina. But when you move into this sober living, you had to sign a paper saying this was what would happen if you failed a drug test or tested positive or broke any of the house rules. I didn't do anything, but they're trying to say I did. So in the middle of the night, we also have a curfew. It's like 10:30 or 11. I knew I was getting fucking kicked out at 8 in the morning no matter what. My pops done told me, don't come home. And at this point, you got to think of all the shit that I've been through at this point. If I called him and say, hey, Dad, I failed a drug test, but I didn't do it, what the fuck they gonna think? They're not gonna believe me. So I called my sister, and she was like, if you truly didn't do nothing, you have nothing to lose, get an Uber and go to a hospital and get a real drug test. Fuck them little home joints they got from CVS or these little Walgreens or whatever that you're taking, these home tests. Go get a real one. I flew and used my own money, got an Uber at midnight, flew to the hospital, stayed till like 4 in the morning, passed my drug test, had it on paper, had the hospital band and everything, came back, it was like, I fucking told you. That test y'all got is bullshit. I put it in their face, thinking it would clear me, and all it did was make them mad, pretty much. And then from then on, they're plotting to get me out. So like a month goes past. After like a month or 30 days or so, you get overnights where you can spend the night with somebody and stay gone for a day or two. But when you come back, you get a 12-panel drug test. I was fine with that. So at this point, I've been there long enough to where I could do these things. I found a chick on Tinder, and shit, we went to go see Aquaman 2 at the theaters. I got an Uber, went and picked her up in an Uber. It was a Mercedes van Uber, a cool-ass Japanese driver. Picked her up, went to the movies. She told me she wanted me to stay with her. At this point, I'm fresh out of rehab. I ain't had no booty in a minute. You know how that shit goes. So I tried to stay with her. I hit the dude up, house manager, I'm trying to stay. The same morning, trying to say I failed that drug test, right? He talking about, so you ain't got no fucking overnights. This motherfucker cussed me. So I'm like, okay, they up to something. They trying to plot on me. I messaged the person over him, which is probably a mistake. He said, yeah, fuck what he's talking about. You've been there long enough, you can stay, but you get tested in the morning. I spent the night with old chick, come back the next morning, took a drug test. The same guy that texted me, you ain't got no fucking overnights, he's the one that tested me. And I fucking failed it again. So there's something wrong with this. And he also did it in his room. He took my drug test and took it in his room and then come back downstairs to the main living area with a failed test. I took another one after that because I said, that's bullshit. I said, let me drink some water. I drank some water, 1 cup, waited 20 minutes, took another one, a different one. This time I got to watch. It didn't disappear in his room, and I fucking passed this one. But they still told me, no, this is the second time. We don't care about the hospital test. You can't go back. I offered to go take a blood test or anything at that moment. I said, I won't leave your site. This is bullshit again. There's like, nah, this is the second one. You got to pass the same test that all the guys in the house passed. Fuck that hospital shit. Get out. So now here I am, homeless. Again, I'm thinking, goddamn, I done went through detox. Finally got into rehab. I've been here a month, and all of a sudden, y'all kicking me the fuck out. And this is where most people relapse. They kicked me the fuck out. I had nowhere to go. So I ended up having to go stay with that fucking chick that I just spent the night with the night before. Keep in mind, I just met this bitch. I don't know her from nothing. And then come to find out through another whole story, the 2 or 3 nights I stayed with her, which ended up being the night before Christmas, on Christmas Eve. Well, the night before Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve, I stayed with her. This bitch ended up being on the spectrum, but there's nothing wrong with that. But she was laughing about it. She was farting in her sleep and shit, doing dumbass shit. Like, we sleeping and shit, like gross, disgusting shit. Walking around naked, taking that morning piss, farting loud as fuck in the toilet. That shit echoed the whole fucking room. I'm homeless, so I gotta put up with it. I'm thinking, oh my God, how'd I fucking get here, God? Like, help me, please. I ended up going from there. After that, she told me I couldn't stay there no more. So I ended up going from there and staying in the Airbnb in Asheville called Bon Paul and Sharky's Hostel. $35 a night for one bunk bed on the bottom. There was 3 bunk beds in the room, 6 beds. And I kept paying for my bed night after night with different strangers coming and staying, working at Longhorn Steakhouse until I found a roommate that I found on Facebook Marketplace that said he was sober. And me and him ended up getting a hotel room in Asheville at a crack hotel. And that ended up a whole nother bullshit. I ended up hitting rock bottom, ended up relapsing, running the streets of Asheville all night and day, doing dumb shit. I lost myself for a little while. I'd hit rock bottom because I'd been to rehab. I've been doing the right things. And y'all kicked me the fuck out. At this point, I was questioning my religion. I'm like, God, I'm doing the right thing every day. I went through rehab. I stayed sober. I got a job. I fought the urges. And you still let these people kick me out on my ass. And I even tell you, one of the main guys that kicked me out, he was also buying me steroids. We was going to Planet Fitness together, taking steroids. I had needles hidden in the wall at the house. And this is a sober living. There was a guy that got kicked out previously before that for having crack pipes, meth in his room. He's one of these ghetto-ass sober livings, but damn near having more drugs than on the fucking streets. So I went through all types of relapses and rehabs and shit. And after this bullshit that happened with me and this guy in this hotel, he was doing fentanyl, damn near overdosing every night. I ended up fucking going to plasma centers, getting blood and shit, just for fucking money, for food and drugs and shit. I didn't care about my life. And then I finally ended up getting a job at a hospital, taking the bus back and forth to interviews that I found on Indeed, washing dishes. And I got clean, put in a couple applications, called a few places, pulled a few strings from people that I met at rehab, and ended up getting another interview for another sober living, but this time at an Oxford house. And I did my interview over the phone and told them what had happened, and they accepted me. And I got to an Oxford house in West Asheville on Haywood Road. And that's where part 5 will start. And all the bullshit shenanigans and all the drug-infested days and people that I dealt with at this motherfucker. And my struggles getting back and forth to work on this fucking crack bus, going through PVA in Asheville and Shiloh. If anybody knows PVA, Shiloh, Asheville, North Carolina, it's pretty much the hood type shit, and there's drugs everywhere. Oh yeah, don't leave yet. I also got this done while I was in sober living. It says, it was then that I carried you. DX11 means 513, and MX1V 1014. My kids' birthdays. But yeah, sober living's got drugs, steroids, and we getting tatted in that bitch. Now you tell me if it was some legit shit or not.
And I heard him say, nothing's ever promised tomorrow to Jay.